Well, hello, podcast family. This is truly the last episode of the season. Let's talk about YULE. Welcome to What in the Mystical Hell, a podcast about all things witchy, paranormal, and cryptic, including myself. I'm your host, Nikki Jobin. If you're just joining this podcast, I'm a practicing witch, a mom, a barkeep, a small business owner, plus a whole slew of other things. I started this podcast because I realized that stories like mine, they don't always get told, or they're just starting to. I'm happy to say I'm seeing more witches that are on the fringe, hedge witches, kitchen witches, solitaries, etc., speaking out and sharing their journeys. I find it inspiring because there's room for all of us at our witchy tables. Now, more than ever, I feel that we need to create and embrace strong communities of mystical people and open the lines of communication between different types of practitioners. But that's not actually what I'm here to talk about today. Today is about YULE, the winter solstice. If you've listened to previous podcasts, you've also met my co-host, Lauren Aviance. Lauren will be back in season 2, and we hope to have even more great topics for you. But let's get back to the pagan wheel of the year. If you've never heard of the wheel of the year, there are 8 major holidays, or Sabbats, celebrated by many pagans and witches. These include 4 quarter days and 4 cross-quarter days that mark solstices, equinoxes, and changing seasons. Starting at the beginning of the wheel, the Sabbats are as follows. YULE, December 20th through 23rd, which is the solstice. That's what we're going to talk about tonight. And this year, 2024, the solstice lands on December 21st. Then, starting next year, we'll go to Imbolg, which is February 1st to 2nd, also called Candlemas or Bridget's Day. This is the halfway point between the winter solstice and the spring equinox. Ostara, our spring equinox, is March 20th through 23rd. Then we go right into Beltane on May 1st. This is our May Day festival, which is the halfway point between the spring equinox and summer solstice. Letha, which falls between June 20th and 23rd, is our summer solstice. Then we have Lunasa, also called Lammas, which is August 1st. That's the first harvest of the year, and it's the halfway point between the summer solstice and the autumn equinox. Mabon, which is September 20th through the 23rd, is our autumn equinox. And then we round out the year with Samhain, October 31st, which is All Hallows Eve. In my last episode, we talked about Samhain, which is considered by some to be the end of the wheel of the year. Of course, a wheel doesn't actually end, but you get my meaning. So now we're starting back at the top of the wheel, where we have YULE, the winter solstice. The winter solstice is the shortest day and the longest night of the year. It's a time when we celebrate the return of the sun and warmth into our lives. Yuletide, which is also called the 12 Days of Yule, and yes, later it turned into the 12 Days of Christmas by the Christians, but I'm not going to go into that in this episode. Yuletide is an expanded version of Yule that incorporates many traditions. The 12 days between the solstice and the new solar year are considered to be a time of rest, renewal, and recuperation. In 2024, as I said, Yuletide starts on Saturday, December 1st, and then it ends on January 1st, 2025. My family celebrates the Yule solstice on December 21st, and we have a lot of different traditions and activities. And I do a solstice vigil every year. Some of the things we do are taken from different traditions. I don't actually know when the Yule celebrations actually started, but we do know that they originated with ancient Germanic and Nordic cultures. The word Yule was known as Jol in Old Norse, and Jule in Old English, and Jule by the Danish. We also see lore coming from the Icelandic cultures as well. Though the traditions differ from culture to culture, there's symbolism that spans the regions. Most cultures that have Yule celebrate some sort of fire lighting ceremony, be it a Yule log, a bonfire, or even lighted candles in the windows, where symbolizing the return of the sun and warmth. It's a time of balance between the light and the dark. We have evergreen wreaths that symbolize eternal life and how nature, quote-unquote, returns after the long winter. We have the Yule tree, which symbolizes the tree of life and later became the Saturnalia or Christmas tree. There's also so much lore around this Sabbat, from Odin hosting the wild hunt in the Norse lore, to the traditional battle between the Holly and Oak Kings in the Celtic traditions, to Gryla and her Yule lads in the Icelandic traditions. But if you're new to this path, all of the information that you find, it might be completely overwhelming. Knowing what corresponds with what, putting it all together, it can be a lot. So today I'm going to go over some of those things. The first thing to remember is, well, yes, the solstice is a celebration for the return of the sun. It is also a time of merriment, feasting, renewal, reflection, and honoring nature. Let's start with some fun activities that you can do at this time of year. If you're in the broom closet, many of these activities are also things that you would do to celebrate Christmas, so you don't necessarily have to keep them hidden. One of the activities you could do is decorating a tree. While the Yule tree was traditionally decorated with pine cones, fruits, and berries, you can pretty much decorate them any way you like now. In the 1840s, Queen Victoria made the decorating of trees for the holidays a popular trend. So decorate away. Yule log. The tradition of decorating and burning a Yule log has changed throughout the years. Originally, the Yule log was a tree that was selected and burned in the hearth over the 12 days of Yuletide. Now it's more common for people to have a Yule log cake or a Yuletide centerpiece. People also may have a decorative log with candles that they burn for Yule. In my home, we keep a fire burning in the hearth, from sunset on the solstice to sunrise on the next day. We believe that it will keep bad spirits from entering the home. In more recent years, I've also done live casts throughout the night for the solstice vigil. Wassail and wassailing. Now here's something fun. We have wassail, a traditional holiday drink, and wassailing, which is basically caroling. Wassail is a warm beverage made from apples, oranges, and spices. Traditionally, you would anoint the Yule log before burning and then have a punch bowl for drinking. Wassailing was a winter tradition of singing, dancing, drinking, and visiting homes or an orchard. Oftentimes, if you were visiting a home and singing for the occupants, you would receive a small gift in exchange. This is very similar to the practice of mummers that we've talked about in previous episodes. The wassailers would also sing in the orchards to encourage the spirits to ensure a good harvest in the coming year. You could bake gingerbread. Ginger was considered sacred, and this treat was usually only made during the holidays. Hanging mistletoe. Now, mistletoe was tied to the fertility of the goddess and the seed of the Oak King. Druids considered mistletoe holy, and we use it for protection. Bell ringing. Did you know that bells were thought to ward off demons? They were meant to chase away the dark and bring back the light. That gives the song Jingle Bells a little bit of extra meaning. Wreath crafting. Wreaths were thought to represent the wheel of the year and were given as gifts for friendship. Celebrating with holiday foods. I'll go a little bit more in depth with food correspondences later in the podcast, but each traditional dish has a wealth of meaning and corresponds to the solstice. Refresh and renew. The 12 days of Yuletide were considered an in-between period between this year and the next. Take this time to reflect about those things you wish to release from your life and those you wish to keep or invite into your life. Now, the two other things that if you're in the broom closet, you might keep a little bit more on the down low. We have decorating a Yule altar. You can decorate your altar with symbols of the season. Pick things that resonate with you and have the most meaning for you and yours. In the next part of the podcast, we'll talk about the different things that you can use. And participate in a Yule ritual. If you're lucky enough to be a part of a group that has a Yule ritual, yay. If not, and you'd like to create your own ritual, I'll have some tips and resources available. Participation in Yule activities isn't a must, but they can make the season bright, as they say. Whatever you choose to do, always make time for self-care. All right, now we have some Yule correspondences, starting with our altars. We'll start with a general list, then dig deeper into each one. When setting up your Yule altar, don't forget that it's your altar, and it can be done as simply or as elaborately as you choose. You can add candles. Candles symbolize the light and warmth of the sun. They're a way of bringing bright energy into the home. Choose colors that coordinate with Yule. Plants and herbs. Incorporating Yule plants and herbs into your altar can add an extra layer of intention and magic. Plants to include can be holly, evergreen, ivy, and mistletoe. The sun. As we welcome back the sun, include symbols and pictures of the sun to your altar. Bells. Incorporate bells into your altar to chase away dark spirits. Stags. The stag is a traditional representation of the spirit of Yuletide. Branches and boughs. Find greenery associated with Yule and incorporate that into your altar design. Crystals and stones can enhance the energies of your workings. And deities. There are several deities with correspondences to Yule's. Pick deities that you have an existing relationship with or whom you might like to build a relationship with. Again, setting up your altar in a way that's meaningful to you is really the most important part. Next, let's talk about color correspondences. There are several colors that correspond to Yule. Let's explore. Red is symbolic of prosperity and love. Also, it represents the energy of the Holly King. Green is for abundance and the promise of spring and represents the energy of the Oak King. White is for cleansing, light, purity, hope, and new beginnings. Silver symbolizes the moon and the goddess. Gold represents the sun and returning of the light. Next we have blue, which can represent the night or serenity and introspection, and black represents the parting of the Holly King. Altar cloths, ribbons, and candles in these colors can create the right ambiance for your Yule celebrations. Crystals. All right, crystals, those can enhance the energy of your Yule celebration and your renewal work. Choose the ones that resonate with you. Amethyst. Calming and spiritual properties, good for reflection during this time of introspection. Black obsidian is a protective stone that provides barriers and it can shield you from negativity. Next we have bloodstone. Bloodstone symbolizes the life cycle even in the winter months, and it's associated with renewal and healing. Carnelian represents the potential for new beginnings by enhancing creativity and motivation. Next, we have clear quartz. Clear quartz can amplify and enhance the energies of the other stones, and it helps promote clarity of thought. Garnet represents passion, vitality, and grounding energy, and it symbolizes the potential for new beginnings as the light returns. Moonstone represents intuition, feminine energy, and the goddess, connecting with the cyclical energy of the seasons. Red jasper. It's very grounding and it connects with the root chakra and helps provide stability and strength. Smoky quartz is another really powerful grounding stone. It can dispel negativity and promote stability. Lastly, sunstone. Sunstone represents the sun. It's also good for self-care, cleansing one's aura, and ridding mind and emotional bodies of negativity. Finding the right combination of crystals will definitely enhance your Yule workings and offer protection against any negative energies. Plants. Different plants can be used to enhance the energy of your space and your Sabbat preparations. Choose plants that will resonate with you personally. First up, we have evergreen, which is symbolic of eternal prosperity, life, renewal, and peace. Holly, which is associated with the Holly King and protection. Holly plants also represent the waning sun and the old solar year. They're considered lucky and are often placed into charms. Pine cones, or pine in general. So pine cones ward off negative energy, attract success, and help us connect to spiritual consciousness, and even offer strength and good health. Pine trees are strongly associated with themes of renewal, longevity, protection, and the enduring spirit of life. The yew tree. I don't know if you see the yew tree very often, but this symbolizes both death and rebirth. So this really resonates with the message of the winter solstice, when in the midst of darkness that the sun is born again. Right? So we're going from the dark into the light. Mistletoe is considered sacred and is associated with protection, fertility, and healing. It's a symbol of the magic that can persist even in the coldest and darkest of times. Ivy is a symbol of eternal life and fidelity, and it is also often paired with holly to ward off evil spirits. Now, these are just a few examples of the plants that you can use. Explore other winter plants and find ones that also resonate with you. You can use them as altar decorations or as offerings for your Yule celebrations. Coordinating with plants, we also have herbs and incenses for Yule. These can make a really big difference in your celebrations, both aromatically and energetically. So let's look at some correspondences here. Allspice. So I used to think that allspice was a mix of different spices mixed together, but I found out that it's actually a spice in itself. And this spice can be used to uplift spirits and help with depression. It can also be used in money or luck workings. Then we have cardamom. Cardamom is most frequently used for love charms or aphrodisiacs, but it can also be used to help with concentration, overthinking, and worrying. Cinnamon symbolizes warmth, protection, spiritual growth, and renewal. Cloves are symbolic of prosperity, good luck, and protection from negative energy. Frankincense is believed to purify and elevate spiritual energy. Now, next I was going to add in myrrh, but when I was looking at the correspondences for Yule, it really was more a Christmas time and Christian faith energy rather than the more pagan-y one. So you could add that if you'd like to. If you do Christian witchcraft, you can also add that in. It's another purity and protection herb. But I didn't add too much about that just because I was keeping this a little bit more pagan-minded. But just to be fair, it is something that you can add into your altar if that resonates with you. Nutmeg. Nutmegs are good for overall good luck and money drawing. Peppermint. Peppermint brings joy and encourages prophetic dreams. The scent is also used in self-purification rituals. As with the previous categories, use your best judgment and choose what resonates with you. Even for community gatherings, these rituals can be very personal, so choose herbs that will enhance your experience. Not every herb will fit your need, and that's okay. Do what feels right to you and have fun. All right, now we are down to ritual talk. I know that I say this every single time, and I'll say it again. A ritual doesn't have to be elaborate. For some of us, though, the details are what help us get into the mindset of the ritual. So if you are that person and aren't really sure where to begin, let me recommend Llewellyn's Sabbat Essentials Series number 7, Yule, Rituals, Recipes, and Lore for the Winter Solstice. This book contains quite a bit of information, including how to perform rituals. The link will be included in the episode notes. And if you have any recommendations, please shoot an email or comment. We love recommendations here. Rituals can be as simple or as elaborate as you choose. But here are a few tips that I found that come in handy. Ground and cleanse yourself. Making sure that you're cleansed and grounded is important for the simple reason that you're getting rid of the frustrations and the little bits of crazy from your day that might affect your ritual. So once you've grounded, you've gotten rid of all that excess energy, whether it be anxiousness or worry or frustration. It just kind of, we get rid of that little extra bit so that we can be really focused in our ritual. Cleanse your space. Doing your ritual in an energetically and physically clean space really helps you keep your focus. It also helps keep the crazy, not just from your day, but from your space, from creeping in on your rituals. It clears all of that out so that you can really focus on your intention. And having a physically clean space means that you're not tripping over things when you're doing a ritual. I've used this anecdote before, but it's really true. I don't know if you've ever tried to do a ritual in a room where there have been Legos, but you'll step on it right in that crucial moment. I promise this. Clean your body, clean your space. Have a copy of your ritual written out in case you blank on the next part. We all do it. It's happened to me a million times. Keep notes. It helps keep you on track. Your deities are not going to judge you for having notes, and nobody died because we had notes. Keep a fire extinguisher handy, just in case. I have found it to be helpful in past situations. In case you set the tablecloth on fire, set a broom on fire, garage insulation, just those little flammable things that maybe you're not paying attention and they light up. Keep that fire extinguisher around, within close reach. At some point, you may need it. It is okay to laugh. We all make mistakes, and sometimes it's funny. If everything needed to be serious, I don't know what I would do. I laugh at the most inappropriate things and at very inappropriate times. So if I had to be completely serious during the ritual, I would slip on a Lego, fall on the ground, probably hit my head, and laugh until I peed. But you know what? It's okay. My deities are laughing with me. Okay, they're laughing at me. But just don't worry if you make a mistake. It'll be okay. Just stop, take a deep breath, find your place, and keep going. Work with what you have handy. Almost everything has a substitute, and likely you'll have that in your spice cabinet. Any doors that you open, please make sure you close them. Example, if you call to the quarters, if you invoke a spirit, make sure to offer gratitude, then invite them to depart. If you're using a spirit board, make sure to close that door. Don't just think that because you're done, whatever you've been talking to is done. Make sure you close your doors. You invite them to leave. You give them your gratitude, invitation to leave, shut the door. Very, very important. If you are in your home, make sure that you have invoked the laws of hospitality should anything go nutty. It's a quick solution in a situation where things may have gone awry. Sometimes the best rituals are the simple ones that come from the heart. So don't feel like you have to make something so elaborate that it loses its meaning. Those things that come from the heart but are truly, truly felt and meant, those are the beautiful things. When you create your own rituals, they should be personal and meaningful. YULE rituals involving internal growth and introspection are going to be quite personal. So make sure that you're really thinking about what you'd like to put in there. And know that quick, simple rituals, those can be meaningful too. It's all about your intention. I keep saying this, but I promise at some point I will have an episode about rituals and casting. I just don't know when, to be quite honest. I'm not really sure when, but it's going to happen. All right. If you have listened to any of my Sabbat episodes, you know the food is my favorite part. If you have ever met me, you know that I'm a hedonist and I will enjoy the hell out of the food. Don't be afraid to think outside your box for food, whether it be ritual foods or community sharing. I'm going to list some traditional food items and then share a couple recipes. Some of these recipes that I've made are tried and true and are kid tested, but a few are included because I'd love to try them for the future. Almost anything that will be in season for this time of the year will be great in your Sabbat feast. Okay, roasted meats. If you are a vegetarian, obviously this does not apply to you. We have other things in here, but if you are not, roasted meats will symbolize abundance, sustenance, and about a bountiful harvest. Root vegetables. They have a connection to the earth and they're very grounding. If you want to make a dish that has some winter squash in it, this is symbolic of abundance, fertility, and prosperity. Berries and nuts. Berries represent the divine feminine, abundance, and fertility. Nuts, such as hazelnuts or walnuts, can represent good luck and protection. And chestnuts, so those roasted chestnuts we hear over the fire, those represent hope. Spiced drinks. Spiced drinks offer comfort, warmth, protection, and a connection to the spiritual realm. As we add different spices to the drinks, we can create different intentions, such as using cinnamon for healing or ginger for vitality. Speaking of ginger, how about some gingerbread? Gingerbread is often associated with warmth, comfort, and magic. It can also be used in effigy magic, so using gingerbread men as little puppets, maybe. Yule log, or Bûche de Noël, symbolizes the triumph of light over dark, the return of the sun, and renewal. Wassail. We talked a little bit about wassail earlier. This is traditionally enjoyed as an integral part of wassailing, an ancient English drinking ritual intended to ensure a good apple cider harvest. The purpose of wassailing is to awaken the cider apple trees and to scare away evil spirits to ensure a good harvest. And lastly, we have eggnog, which is symbolic of prosperity and good health. Okay, here are some recipes. Food and fruit traditions are a big part of our celebrations. Concentrate on your intentions as you are making any of the food for your gatherings. That's going to be really important because what we're concentrating on, what our intentions are, those are going to be infused into our food. Now, links for all the recipes that I'm going to talk about for a few minutes here are going to be in the episode notes and will likely be found in the public arena of our Patreon. I'm not including full meals like I have in the past, but I'm concentrating on more specific Yule-related items. First up, I have hawthorn mulled apple cider. I have not made this, but it is a warm drink designed to uplift our hearts in dark times or in times of sorrow. And I don't know how your end of the year has been, but you know what? This end of the year has been a little harder for me to get into. I'm not necessarily feeling the easy joy and uplifting energy that I'm usually feeling. So this is a warm drink that's designed to just kind of just give us a little uplift, a little energy. Just to kind of help our metaphysical hearts heal a little bit. And I think that we all need some healing at this time of the year. And this time in this specific year. Wassailing. Wassailing recognizes the important relationship of mankind to nature. So I wanted to include that recipe as well. Eggnog. I am not a big fan of eggnog personally, but eggnog is a drink made from eggs, milk, or cream, sugar, and often alcohol, but you do not have to have alcohol in it. You can have it alcohol-free. It's believed to have originated from the early medieval British drink posset, which was a hot, milky, ale-like drink. Some believe that drinking eggnog would bring prosperity into the home for the next year. So maybe I'll have one of my kids drink the eggnog for me this year. All right, the Bûche de Noël. The Yule log is a symbol of the winter solstice, the longest night of the year, and the returning of the light. So much like we burn the Yule log in our hearth for those things to symbolize the solstice. If you don't have a hearth, or maybe you don't like burning things, you can make the Yule log cake instead. Gingerbread cookies. These are one of my favorite things to make during the holiday season. The spices in gingerbread, like cinnamon and sugar, are often linked to feelings of warmth and welcome, making this treat a symbol of hospitality and sharing joy with others. So they're fun to make together. They're fun to eat together, right? All in all, our meals nourish us in more than just our bodies. If you're doing the cooking, cook with intention and feed your soul as well. I hope that you've enjoyed this episode and found at least some of the information useful. If you try any of the recipes, send me a picture. Let me know what you think. Or if you have a recipe or tradition you'd like to share, send us an email or comment on our social media. You can also comment on the episode links in Spotify. So this wraps up season 1. Catch us again in a few weeks for the new season when Lauren will be back and we will definitely discuss more witchy shit. We're going to spend the next couple weeks figuring out what that is, but we will definitely do that. Thanks for joining me today. Again, I hope you found this episode fun and informative, and we would love to have your questions or comments. Find us on Facebook or Instagram. If you'd like to support the podcast, we're attached to the Golden Apple Metaphysical Patreon. Sign up as a patron to access exclusive podcast content and some other goodies from Golden Apple. You can find that on www.patreon.com/goldenapplemetaphysical. If you have questions, comments, personal experiences, if you want to tell me I should quit this and find a real job, well, you can email that to me at whatinthemysticalhell@gmail.com. But please don't tell me to find another job, because I'm kind of having fun doing this, and I think I'm going to keep rolling with it. This has been another episode of What in the Mystical Hell podcast, where we go with sailing. We host a Yule vigil, and when the Yule lads come a-knocking, we leave an offering for Gryla so they'll go home. Oh, and when things go bump in the night, we bump back. I'm your host, Nikki Jobin, and I would love to wish you all a blessed solstice and a happy, prosperous new year. See you next season.